Hi, welcome to the 2020 Scandinavian UnFestival. I'm Sandy. I'm from Monroe, and I've been spinning since 1980, and I loved to spin. And this is my friend.
I'm Marita Davidson. I'm from Monroe too, and I've been spinning for approximately 4 years. I'm pretty new at it, but I really enjoy it. I got my first sheep's wool last year, and I washed the whole thing, a little at a time, and hung it out to dry. And I have carded some of it and actually spun some. So it's really a long process, but it's enjoyable too.
Why do I do it? Why don't I just go to the store and buy it? Well, there's probably not a good answer for that, and there's not a simple answer for that. I do it because I was a knitter first. My family moved to Alaska when I was in 6th grade. We got there in December, and I decided, because it was cold, I wanted to learn to knit. And so I decided, and no one that I knew knit. My mother didn't knit. So I got a little pamphlet and I learned to knit. And so what I wanted was to have some mittens. So that was actually my first knitting project. And nobody actually told me mittens are hard. I just did it. But what happened is, so I knit for 20 years, a lot. But I always found the yarn boring. And I was always trying to do something, some way of combining yarn that would make it more interesting. Or I was doing things like patterns, like cables and textures. But so one time in 1980, I was living in Salem at that point, and we went to a big Salem art fair. And I saw a person spinning on a spinning wheel. I didn't even know spinning existed at that point. I just thought it was some old thing. I really did not know that people did spinning. And so I talked to the person demonstrating. She taught classes. I took a class, and then I've been spinning ever since. And it's because I can make what I want. And it's also very, very relaxing to spin. And it's very, feels good. And I also like the fact that I can make my sweaters and things from what I've started with. So we are members of the Long Tom Spinners and Knitters Group, and we meet here at Fletchel Hall during the year, and we also demonstrate at the Scandinavian Festival every year. I think we've been doing it for about 5 years, at least 5 years, and we spin every day and demonstrate every day at the festival. And in fact, we open up the festival because we are spinning every morning. So we are always there from about 10 o'clock to about noon every day. It's one of the most fun things that we do all year as a group. So I think for me, one of the highlights of the Scandinavian Festival and spinning is that when the parade happens, we can see all the people in the parade before they do it. Then we see the ribbon cutting, and then we see people walk through. And it's very meaningful and it always brings tears to my eyes whenever I see this. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to demonstrate this year for the UnFestival. So what I thought I would do today is to explain what it is that we're doing and how we do it and where it comes from. We can spin any kind of fiber. We can spin wool, we can spin alpaca, mohair, rabbit, dog hair. We can spin muskox, kibiut, cashmere, silk, flax, cotton. But today, I think we're going to focus on spinning wool, and particularly wool that comes from the Willamette Valley, local wool. So the first thing that happens in spinning is you start with the shepherd. So the shepherd is the most important person in the whole process. But the shepherd really is the person who takes care of the sheep, makes sure they're healthy, and when you have a healthy sheep, you have healthy wool. We want healthy wool. Healthy wool doesn't break. And we want wool that's relatively clean. Even though it's all full of junk, it's still pretty clean. So this is an example of wool that came from a sheep here in the Willamette Valley. This has been washed in hot water very carefully, because we want to get the dirt out and we want to get the lanolin out as much as possible, so it's not too greasy. And it's just, you can kind of see where the locks are, the individual locks of the sheep, and they're about, in this sheep, they're about this long. And that's a perfect length to spin with. The next thing that we do is we have to tease it apart. So we separate it out like this. And we're just teasing it apart to separate it out. And sometimes I have on a white apron, if I do this very long, my white apron will be all brown with dirt, seeds, and things like that fall out. So then the next process is that we card it. And there are traditional ways of carding, and then there are more modern ways of carding. And the traditional way is with hand cards. And some of us still do these. I don't use my hand cards on a daily basis, but I use them when I want to sample. So the objective of the cards is to brush the fiber so it's all put on and a kind of generally aligned. And because if it's aligned, it makes it spin more easily. So I do that, and then I brush it. The teeth aren't touching. They're just going through here like this. And then I go over and I do it again. I do it as many times as I need to do it to make something that's nice, that would be easy to spin. And what I can do is I can hold it up, and then you can see the difference in this as compared with what I started with, this. So I can spin from this more easily. I can spin from this if I wanted a lumpy yarn, but I don't want a lumpy yarn today.
You want to get a lot of air into your fleece.
Yes, I want to have an airy yarn, and in order to have an airy yarn, I have to have an airy preparation so that I can spin it out. So so I can do it that way, or I can do it on a drum carder. And a drum carder is a big drum that has the teeth that goes like this, much faster. And so it comes like this, and then I strip it down like this, and I spin from that. Now, when you spin, the spinning is a process of putting twist on like that. So if you have this, you can see that this just falls apart. So you don't want yarn like that. You want yarn that is going to hold together. If you take this, that you saw me break it, and put a little twist on it, it's strong. That's what making yarn is. It's doing that, and at the same time, drafting or drawing out like this. So we're doing it all continuously. That's what's making yarn. And Whether the yarn is thick or thin depends on how much you draw it out. And right here in this little part, how much fiber is in this part. If I want to make it fatter, I'm going to put this much fiber in. If I'm going to make it thinner, I put this. It all depends if I want it thin or fatter, depending on what I'm going to do with it. If I'm going to make a sweater and I want it to be heavy, then I'm going to make it fatter. Thinner, then, you know, for something like lace, then it would be thinner. So that's where that's where the fiber comes from, the sheep. And sheep fiber comes in all different kinds of colors. Just like people have different colors of hair, sheep have all different colors and every range. So it's everything from white, black, gray, and all the range in there, brown. Now, so you can see what I'm doing here is I have my spinning wheel and I'm starting to draw this out, and twist is just traveling up this whole length, and then I'm putting it in. So the way the spinning wheel works, all spinning wheels work pretty much the same way. They might look different. Some are folding wheels that are easy to move, but they all work the same way. And what you have a drive wheel. That's this wheel, which is the bigger wheel. And then you have a band here that goes from the drive wheel to the pulleys and the bobbin. So you can see the pulleys are right here and the bobbin. So then what the wheel is, and you have the treadle where my foot is, and that makes the wheel go round and makes everything work. So what a wheel does, it's an efficient way of putting twist into the yarn. That's what you want. All the twist is happening right here at what we call the orifice. And then when there's enough twist on it, then we make it go in, and it goes around the bobbin. And when I get enough on the bobbin in one location, then I move the yarn from here over to another hook, and then so that I don't have too many hills and valleys on the bobbin. Means that you can get more yarn on each bobbin. So this is basically the process of spinning. And I'll show you something interesting. If I hold this here and treadle and I'm not drafting back, twist is getting right in here. And now if I stop, I can pull out and the twist travels all the way up and makes yarn. So that's the process, and I'm just doing it continuously when I use the spinning wheel. Some spinning wheels have one treadle and some have two treadles. It doesn't make any difference. They all work the same. And people have particular preferences, and some have a single band that's crossed, which is called a double band. Some have just a single band. Again, it doesn't make any difference. It's all personal preference. Now, one of the things the common questions that we've gotten when we demonstrate is what happens if it breaks like that? What happens? So, this is what happens. You take this and you add another piece underneath it, and it just starts twisting around. So there you have your continuous yarn. So that's the magic. I think that's the magic of spinning.